Hello, we are now live on YouTube. Excellent. Sometimes you can spend hours setting this all up and you just can't get the comments on YouTube up. And then today they just appear. But I'm still going to do it the old fashioned way because I don't trust what I see on my screen, really. So, hello, everyone. How are you all doing? It's been exhausting well, I had like an exhausting period, then a bit of a rest over Easter, and then exhausting again this last few days has brought in some quite big energies. It's been integrating and recalibrating instead of sleeping at night, I guess. So if you are on YouTube, then do say hello and let me know that the comments are coming through there. I'm just going to make sure I've got it on my phone. Otherwise, I can't see everybody on my small screen. I guess I could bring you down there a little bit. So I've got people with me on Zoom, so hello to you guys. And I'm doing things a little bit different today. Normally I give you like an intention, which is kind of a mantra, but instead today's energy is very much a feeling energy. It's a state of being. So I'm going to try and take you on a very short vibrational journey to see if we can tap into what that energy really feels like. So I thought I'd rather do that today than the intention. Okay, so I've got comments here up on Nee's on YouTube. Hey, Nee. You'll come and join us on Zoom later, I assume, yeah? Excellent. Sorry I'm a bit late, guys. My cat is in and out, and I was just really thirsty before I started. So welcome to this month's Quantum Human Revelations. And now we can say that this is a place for the higher self to be explored, especially for people who might identify as high achievers. This is, I'm hoping, a way for high achievers to finally find that missing part that has been leading them down the path of burnout and perfectionism and people pleasing and feeling like an imposter. If they can tune into the higher self, it kind of naturally dissolves these other aspects. So for anybody that hasn't spoken to me since I had these revelations over the last few months, then do let me know if you are a high achiever and if you want to access your higher self. Give me a thumbs up. So this month's theme is a bit late because I took Easter off, but it's about working smarter, not harder. So it fits. We are uncovering a new version of ourselves right now after the higher self integration recently, or at least the potential for us to integrate our higher self. So there's meeting your higher self, and now we're actually embodying our higher self. And this process means that we are becoming something new. And the challenge is going to be regarding how can we do that, not through hard work and struggle, but through life being simpler, resting for success, and working smarter, not harder. Because we're still in that integration phase, that human version of the metamorphosis of the caterpillar to the butterfly. So it's a real pivotal point as to what direction we will now plug into based on how we manage this situation right now. So that's really important to understand because I'll talk about Libra full moon that we went through the shadow side recently on how we make our decisions. But right now we're at a pivotal decisional point that we need to manage correctly if we want to make sure that we are pointing in the right direction of this butterfly, quantum human, this version of us with our higher self integrated, which makes our life simpler. So does that make sense? Yeah. So basically, it's moving out of that victim state and realizing your decision in this moment will decide what happens next in your life. Because right now we're at a stage of evolution where we have artificial intelligence, where people are going to stop thinking for themselves and allow artificial intelligence to give them a personality makeover. We have people who are in fear and panicking and stuck in the past and struggling to get over the last few years and to believe that anything more high vibrational is even possible after the depths we've been into. We need people that can tap into their entrepreneurial thinking and their divine intelligence of the higher self if we're going to trailblaze our way out of this situation and create new solutions for the world. And doing all of this without the burnout. That's going to be key. Oh, and angelic energy saying she likes what I'm wearing. Yeah, this is one of my cartoon, like the old Batman movies with the kapow kind of symbols. Yeah, that's my dress today. It's kind of cartoony. So this is about not creating businesses necessarily. This is all about you are your business. Everything in this world hinges off you and who you are and what you decide to be in this moment, what energies you're willing to allow into your body and what you're not. So those are the kind of decisions we're going to be talking about. So for those that don't know me, I'm Trudy Marie, and I come today with my higher self already integrated, or at least I'm connected to it. It's still coming into my body bit by bit, and she's called White Star. So that's where my name comes from as well. And my specialty is about channeling divine intelligence as a sole purpose and as a visionary as well, helping people see the bigger butterfly vision for themselves. And I have an entrepreneurial background, so I share some aspects of spirituality from that point of view to make it a bit more practical and more grounded in reality. So it's kind of really tapping into a practical version of ascension energies and higher energies so that you can see that it's actually within you to do the same too. And then you can step into your full quantum light, into your potential and your cosmic purpose, because we all have it. Just because you haven't been able to access it before doesn't mean you haven't got it. It just means you haven't learned the trick to getting to it. And I, as somebody who's extremely logical, I found an amazing way to connect to this higher self in a way that is consistent and reliable and helps me make enlightened decision making and enlightened choices in my life. So I help you look at your life as if you designed it. I then help you decode it and debug it because you left yourself clues. And then I assist you to heal and self-heal and liberate yourself, that true version of yourself that's been hidden inside this imposter for so long. And we might not all fully have awoken our entrepreneurial high achiever mindset. This isn't about, like I said, it's not about having a business. This is a way of thinking. And we might not have fully woken that up. So I intend to wake that up for you and also to help you realize your ability to connect to your higher self. It's all about now reframing and reforging all of your life, the mess, the challenges, the blessings, all into golden solutions that support the evolution of humanity. And like I said, without the burnout. And it's about really now getting into doing this joyfully, confidently, and creating innovation and impactful change for whatever corner of the universe you're in, but bringing joy, peace, flow, and that beautiful flow state with you. So if that resonates with you, then are we ready to see what this month's energy has brought us? Because this is a kind of mini workshop. And all I ask for you to do with me today is to tune into the questions, allow them to open new pathways of thought, and also just to flip the script on what you think it means to be human. You know, let's just make believe today that we all have our higher self to access, and we can all talk to it really easily, and we can find a simpler, much easier, smarter life for ourselves instead of having to do all this hard work and the way that world is kind of forcing us down this working to live as opposed to living to work. No, it's the wrong way around, isn't it? Living to work as opposed to working to live. That's the right way. So grab your oracle cards if you've got any, because you might want to pull some cards as we go through. And each episode is in itself a healing. It's bringing you a quantum weaving of divine intelligence, of the spoken word, and new frequencies. So just intend now to allow that energy to wash over you, go into every cell of your being, and just to awaken your own inner power and old knowledge that has been waiting to reveal itself to you. So please subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell so you know when I'm going live and that you don't miss these. So these are only once a month, by the way. And I'm keen to build a community of revolutionary critical thinkers and change makers. So if you can join us every month, then that really helps us build momentum in what we're trying to do. Because it's really important we don't do this on our own anymore. We've all got parts of the story that we need to put together if we're going to find the easy path out of where we are now and really start tapping into these new butterfly quantum human abilities that are there for us to utilize. So do share your takeaways as we go through so that we can see what everyone's thinking, and we can inspire others who are reading later. So take a few deep breaths. And I want you to really tap into this. I use the word instinct of God, and some people might not like that word, but this instinct of God is simply the innate ability of every cell in your body, of the DNA in every cell of your body, to replicate, to manage itself, to heal your body, to breathe, to walk, to all the things that you do instinctually. This is what I call the instinct of God. And what I'm finding is that when we're in the state that we are really connected to that ability in our body, we're bringing self-healing forward much quicker. And the way we do it, I did look it up the other day to see what was so special about the number 92. But if we can raise our instinct of God up to 92%, then we're in the optimal vibrational state to spontaneously heal and spontaneously let go of energy and reprogram our energy, okay? So what we do is we find the collarbone, which is the bone that goes just along the top of your chest here. And it's about, the instinct of God wakes up to a vibration. So when you tap, you can hear my voice going a bit shaky. So that is the vibration that we want to create. And we also then hum. So we breathe in and hum on the way out. So it's like doubling up on the vibration. So I'm not going to do that too much because it'll interfere with the microphone. But if you guys do that now, take a breath in, tapping. And just as you're doing this, imagine every cell of your body waking up, this deep physical, primal energy knowledge of how to operate your body in its most optimal and most vital way. So just bring that energy in now. And we normally use body testing, which we can do from a sitting position. And when our body tips forward, we know we've reached the 92%. So you guys keep doing that while I start speaking about what we're here to do today. Because when we want to embody new vibrations and we want them to run through our body, this instinct of God is a really good way to tap into this self-healing ability. So last month, feels like a year ago, but last month, when I started asking the energy forecast, we spoke a bit, I don't know if you guys caught the 2025 forecast, but there was a what do we need to know question in that. And that said the divine grace law of efficiency. And that's kind of fitting in to where we are this month. So last month, part of the law of efficiency preparation was our higher self was preparing to combine with the soul light, which was our ancient soul memories, and to blend together to finally come and sit into the physical body. So we didn't have this kind of here feeling and then there to access the higher self. It would all now be here, and we would just have access to that higher self in the present without having to meditate, without having to do complicated processes. So if we tune in now to this month and it says, how are you going to make your life easier? How are you going to make your life simpler? So since we've done the 2025 reading, and that was the question of that time, which would have been January, has anybody had any insights or any changes in their life that is making their life easier or more simple? Has anybody already started to notice? Because, if we don't consciously make these decisions, then the universe will do it for us. Does anybody notice part of their lives becoming more simple? And it doesn't mean emotionally simple. This means like things happening as they should, or coincidences, or serendipitous moments, those kind of things. If anybody, yeah. So Emma's saying yes, she's noticed for you. Anyone else? And for those that are new watching this for the first time, then do go back over the previous episodes, because there's kind of like a journey that goes through here, and each one has something that we can all learn from and benefit from. Yeah, things are happening faster, problems come and solve quicker. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. Perfect. Because, when we do our spiritual path, it's not about having no problems. It's about managing them with a much more graceful, higher perspective. And that's what life being simple is about. So last month, we explored this integration of the higher self. And now what we're preparing to do is to really start feeling into what would life look like if our higher self was embodied, and that no matter what problems I faced, I would be instantly guided, that I would be harnessing energies of flow and divine wisdom and divine intelligence that would allow me to really settle into this 0 point, this point where the past no longer impacts me, where I'm not too focused on the future, where I'm able to co-create in the present, in the now, and achieve the results I want, even if I don't know where I'm going exactly. Now, that's simple to say, but it's really hard for us to create that sensation and that feeling for ourselves. And that's what I want to kind of talk to you about today. I've got another analogy that might help you understand. So how do we walk this path? That's what we're going to be focusing on today. How do we create this path? Now, normally I do an intention, but as I'm going to do a bit of a meditation later, there's not enough time to give you a mantra, a full mantra now. So instead, I want you to try and not necessarily think about what I'm sharing, but instead try and feel what I'm talking about and allow those cells, that instinct of God, to allow your body to be completely recalibrated to these energies. So these sessions, they're only supposed to be an hour. They sometimes go over to an hour and a half. And they are just tasters of what I do in my Quantum Human portal. I can't cover everything here, so it's just the highlights. So I've picked 2 areas today because this month was quite a big month of energies to understand and concepts to understand. So we've been doing lots of workshops playing with those concepts to help us embody them more. So if ever you're interested in doing this work more deeper, then do get in touch and let me know. It's a 12 monthly kind of training with toolkit support around that. And we're really focusing on building the superstructures that we need now, because we need to boost our foundations if we're going to move forward into this future that's revealing itself to us right now. So it's whitestarsoulguidance@gmail.com if you need to get in touch with me. So I think the kind of theme for this month really sums up the session that I want to talk to you about tonight, and it's the hermit. Now, we're going to kind of go through the theme, the outlook of the month, the preparation we've been through, the challenge, the strength, the advice on the next steps. But often I find the strength and the challenge are kind of like 2 sides of the same coin, and you'll see that tonight again. So this hermit theme, often we think the hermit is going out to the wilderness and being on your own, thinking about things. And that's how we perceive the hermit character. And that's true, but it's only one part of its journey. The hermit actually, after it's been and done the contemplation, is meant to come back and share its wisdom with the rest of humanity. And that's the perfect representation of how we all need to be right now. We need that time where we go away to think about what we're here to achieve from our higher self, to get downloads, to connect with the divine plan. And then we're meant to come back and do something with it in the physical. And this is where we need that higher self, like my white star, and then we need the high achiever to actually be able to take the information and apply it and use it in the everyday. So if you think about that, which of the hermit sides, like, are you more of the first part of the hermit, more interested in the hiding, isolating, and building your own little bubble of safety? Or are you able to do both sides, where you can do that and then switch and come back and then share the wisdom? So if you want to do that as your first quantum testing of the night, let's see which one you tend to prefer, which end of the scale you tend to be at. So are you more favoring the hiding, withdrawing, contemplating? So again, for some people, we body test. For others, you might just want to let the answer pop into your head. And how much are we doing able to take that information and apply it to our lives? I'm just checking all the messages. So I got 43% for the first part and 26 applying it. Yeah. Another one focusing more on the contemplation and the hiding. And, that's not a surprise. Look at what we've been through in the last 4 years. If anything's going to push us into the cave to hide out, it's the last 4 years. And this is why this metamorphosis that we're going through now is so important, because we're being told that it's time to come out of the cave. And the downloads that I had regarding the high achiever and the higher self fits into this too, because the high achiever is the physical part of us that can get things done. So the higher self, contemplation, we've been going better at that for people working in my membership. But now we have to add on the how do we take action? How do we translate these downloads into something practical? On top of that, what the hermit knows to do really, really well is how to walk what I can only call as the razor sharp edge path of life. We can so easily fall off in either direction. We can think that we're not good enough and fall back to our old habits. We can think that the world hasn't changed and we are the victim and fall off the path back to our old habits. So staying on the path takes a lot of effort. Well, this is where it's interesting. It takes effort, but doesn't have to be hard work. So it takes effort to stay on this path. And that's all about, like I said at the beginning, the decisions you make. So again, we've got 63% hermit and 52% taking action. I think that's one of the better ones. And yeah, somebody's angelic energies are saying she's much calmer now. She's left a traumatizing job and looking to land one that's more in line with her calling. Yeah, and the hermit card about shining your light. And we'll talk about the hermit card a bit more and the symbology of it, because it's a really good way to look at how we can start walking life and making decisions that are more in alignment with our higher self. So Libra, and as quantum humans, we're kind of here to model a new way of being. So the Libra new way of being is about balanced, harmonious decision making. So you can think of Libra as the scales, and it's a superstructure that once we have this ability to make aligned decisions that align with our higher self and the divine plan, life actually gets a lot easier because we know ourselves, we know what we're here to do, we know what is a divine yes and what is a hell no. It's much, much easier to do. So the Libra decision making fits into the energy reading as well, because if we're going to want a simpler life, can you think of ways why we don't have a simple life? Is it because we put boulders in our path? Is it because we ignore the red flags? Is it because we choose the wrong things in our life? Why, the reasons why our life isn't simple can be boiled down basically to the decisions we make and how we make the decisions. Somebody was asking for the question and somebody's answered. Thank you. So based on that, this middle path, this wise ability of the hermit to walk this path is going to be key to what we talk about tonight. So before we go into that, so I kind of feel like energetically there's been a lot going on. There's been a new energy that I was called to release just this last couple of days, which is why I'm so tired. But what seems to be going hand in hand with this new possibility, this new potential pathway, is the old pathway of fear. A lot of fear is being provoked and brought to the surface to be transmuted. So if anybody's been having odd moments of flashes of fear, there's also a kind of aspect where past life things might be coming up to be cleared. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. Relationships are coming up to be cleared. So we're kind of going still, like from last month, we spoke about purification, this initiation energy. So that's still going on, but it can bring up a lot of fear. And it can be really hard, like walking through sludge, trying to push our way past some of this fear. But know that we are here to transmute it. and you haven't done anything wrong or you haven't fallen off the path. That's just part of the light bodies that we're here to become, to help clear that fear for the planet as well. And I think women are going to suffer with this more than men because of the way DNA holds the female purity more than the male DNA. So it kind of has the links back to ancient times and ancient DNA and ancient talents and things. So I was feeling this month that it was quite tiring, quite exhausting after the higher self energies were coming in, and that now we're really feeling the fear, maybe fear of our power, fear of our old talents coming back, fear of stepping up and being seen, fear of being the bigger version of ourselves. And this is going to kind of trigger other events in our lives to confirm that we should be fearful. And again, that's a decision. You have to decide whether you're going to buy into that fear or if you're going to reforge a new path. Cool. So we got again 65% hermit, 17% action. Yeah, Marta's saying she's got all those symptoms too. Cool. Yeah, life does. I think that's what this is saying, is that life is more complicated because we don't follow our inner wisdom, as Nee's just pointed out. So that's a good way of summarizing that. It's kind of like it's the old, I'm sure we've all got this, but have you you go supermarket shopping when you're hungry, that's never a good idea, yeah? You pick all the wrong foods, the foods that are bad for you. And it's the same now, if you're in fear, then you're going to make decisions that are not good for you. And then you're going to wonder down the line, oh, woe is me, how did I end up here? And that process is made up of many small decisions. And those decisions aren't things like, I decided to take the job or didn't take the job. It's the way you speak to yourself. It's the way you, what you believe about yourself, that you decided to believe about yourself, what you decided to believe about the worldview, and all those things. Yeah, they all build up into the step-by-step decision making that will lead you off the path or keep you on the path. So let's just focus on the hermit for the moment. So if you think of our journey, we're getting upgraded from the caterpillar, which was our personality-led life, into this butterfly life, which is more quantum human, with our higher self engaged, with our entrepreneurial high achiever skills activated so we can take action. And we're starting to come out of me versus we thinking. So rather than just thinking of things for myself, I'm going to look at my pain, my problems, and think of it as a collective problem and help solve it on a collective level. And this means we're going to learn a completely different way of being. But it doesn't have to involve working harder, as I said, or doing more. It's the exact opposite. We need to rest more and surrender more. And that's how we will get success. So we know that the high self integration has been intense, the initiation process, the preparation as we've been going through. And it's bringing in a light that is burning away the old, but also bringing in divine gifts. But if we don't actually make space to stop and allow these to integrate, it's going to possibly make us ill, possibly make us make wrong decisions. So you can see why resting is important if we want success. So how many of you, or what percentage, are you ready to walk the new timeline as the new you? So what percentage, 1 to 100, are you ready to walk a new timeline as a new you? $83, nice. $92. I think we're all feeling the calling, we know that we've got to change. The old way hasn't worked, now we've got to change. Fabulous. 83, 92, 82, 89. Yeah, that's really great. So you can see we're ready for it. So like I said, the hermit is often considered the introvert part, that pulling away from society, to sit on a mountain and to spend time with yourself in contemplation. And that's beautiful, isn't it? But we can't live on top of the mountain. We have to come back down. because we are here to be trailblazers for the world. And we can no longer use the hermit as an excuse not to engage in life anymore. So we might have, like, we know that some of us are sensitive to energy and we're empaths, but even that we can't allow to stop us anymore. We have to start learning that we're entering a phase of life where we need to engage with life now and make a difference. Otherwise, when we do step off our mountain and decide to come back down into the world, we will not like what we see. We will see what has happened while we are away and we will not like it. So it's down to us to step off the mountain, to gain the wisdom and bring it back down and help the world now if we want to see a different world and if we want to be part of a different world. So that means engaging with the world as it is now and finding your inner courage, your inner strength, your inner ability through your higher self to do that. So that means the hermit is a dual role, resting, contemplating, then coming back down into society and sharing their findings. And again, this is not about necessarily becoming a teacher or a guru. This is about us doing it, not sharing like, oh, I've been on the mountain, had this really cool vision, or I've just got this download about ascension. This is much more practical. We need more pragmatic solutions. It's about sharing your own personal metamorphosis journey as a way to inspire and empower others so that they can find their unique path and their own spiritual enlightenment and not have us do it for them. And it's about learning to trust ourselves and not rely on others for answers. That's quite a big change, you know, for some of us to think that we can't connect to our higher self or can't get energetic readings ourselves. We're being told that we have to now start doing it for ourselves because there is a more powerful way to help people than becoming coaches and healers for others. And we said this last month as well. We said that last month was all about focusing on your own self-healing and not healing other people. We had to become experts in our own self-healing if we were going to create the solutions, because we have to get the training and the experience before we then know what we're here to do for other people. And when we do share, we have to do it in a discerning way with the right people that are ready to hear what we have to share and at the right time. And this is all guided by the universe. And this creates synchronous choice points for humanity's evolution, not just for ours. So if you think of the hermit going off to connect with their higher self and new intelligence, they then have to embody their intelligence. They then have to alchemize the intelligence into a physical thing using the entrepreneurial high achiever mindset to create wise action in service of humanity. But how many of us know how to take this light into action? It takes time to dedicate and to learn the language of our higher self to do this. And yet we're all so busy, we rarely are able to make time for sleep, let alone connecting to our higher self. But like I said, we're in technologically challenging times. We're going to be walking down a knife edge where the temptation of, shall I write a letter myself or let AI do it? Will I allow myself to do something now, or will I let my past experience stop me doing it? Will I do this now, or am I frightened of future effects of doing it? In the past, the only decisions we had to make was, were we going to party or study? Were we going to do the emotional work we needed to do, or just lose ourselves in sex, alcohol, and drugs? But now we've got much more dangerous choices that we have to contemplate. Choices that don't only affect our lives, but also future generations. You know, are we supporting transhumanism, or are we supporting organic human potential? Are we supporting jobs for humans or jobs for AI? Are we supporting becoming carbon copies fashioned out of AI, as opposed to stepping into discomfort and growth as we try to hold on to our authenticity, uniqueness, and originality? And these sound maybe not important, but if we don't hold on to our originality now, then we will lose ourselves to technology. We will lose ourselves to AI. We will lose our ability to think. Our neurons in our brains will just stop working the way they do because we'll be too busy and too reliant on AI to find our own unique path. And if you're wondering what that would look like, you only have to think of GPS and Google Maps and to see how people are less aware of directions and surroundings now than ever. As kids will say, why are you asking for directions when you can use Google Maps? Some of us who are older remember what it's like to navigate using a map or even just through senses and noticing the subtle clues of the geography to know where we were going, or the sun even. My dad was like a homing pigeon. He could always find his way following the sun. But that's the kind of thing we're going to lose. But this time, it's not just our sense of direction, it's our sense of uniqueness and our ability to create. AI is completely making it easier for us to be carbon copies of each other. Everything you are asking AI to create as your content, as your name, as your brand, has come out of other people asking the same question and it deciding which bits give the most satisfying answer and then farming that out to everybody else. So we know that art is already being copied and it's already having copyright issues because of the way AI is creating images based off of other people's art. Well, the same is happening in our work, in our problem solving. It's using other people's intelligence and putting it together in different forms to then feed to other people. So it means that we're going to be quite easily carbon copies of each other if we're not careful. So how do we find that decision path that keeps us on our organic path with our divine plan? Oh, somebody just said that they know someone who can't read a clock with hands and only can read digital. I know it sounds stupid, but that is where we're going. And those are the decisions that we have to focus on. Yeah, be an agent of change, one synchronous moment at a time. But, I know these are kind of like big concepts, but this is where we need to put our minds towards, this is what we need to focus on and getting out of the small-minded issues that we've been trying to solve before. We really need to start looking at the big direction that we're all heading in. We know that, artists, authors, songwriters, they are popular if they fit into a certain mold, and therefore they know it can make money. But they don't really support new talent. If you're a new talent these days, it's much, much harder to be found or to find a platform. Even on social media, you used to be able to be found there, but there's so many people now. It's much harder, and it's all driven by the algorithm on social media. The algorithm decides who sees what and what we all consume every day. So we're losing that kind of diversity of human interaction, if you think about it. We're seeing the same kind of thing over and over again, instead of finding more interesting people that allow us to expand and to start thinking differently ourselves. Does that make sense? Can somebody feed that back to me and give me your takeaway from that so we can see how it's landed? And the reason I'm painting this picture is because this is the reason why we need to connect to our higher self. These are the implications and the challenges we'll face if we don't. If we use artificial intelligence instead of our divine intelligence, then we're heading down this very restrictive pathway. Yeah, I like that actually, Marta. Feed your own personal creativity, not the algorithms. Yep, that sums it up. Thank you. Anyone else? Let's see what we got here. Oh, I can see part of Nee's comments, but there's a heart hiding the end of it. It says, makes sense. The AI algorithm curates what we see and creates out a similarity, I think is what the missing word was. So, you can see that at some point AI is going to be self-consuming. And we know that AI needs energy. Even today, we've got all the outages in Spain and Portugal, all the energies, electric's gone off and various services have all collapsed. And if we can only rely on GPS or can only rely on digital, then how are we going to navigate when this becomes more normal, or even if it just happens for a few days and our lives go on hold? This is where the higher self allows us a different type of trust in ourselves and our human ability to just live on this planet without technology. And it doesn't mean that I'm against technology. It just means that we learn to live independently with technology supporting us rather than losing our human ability and handing it all over to technology. And the way it feels is that up until now, we've been the fool. The fool in the tarot is the first card. It's the part of us that's great. They have no fear. They have no idea what can go wrong. They're willing to try anything, fall flat on their face, get up again, make decisions. And the fool tends to make them more on personality desires and what it wants to achieve. Whereas the hermit is the same kind of energy again, but now it's become wiser. It's now looking at the bigger picture. It's tapping into a different intelligence and wisdom that allows it to see the path the optimum path that the fool couldn't see before. It could see the effects of the decisions and make better choices in the future. Because right now, if you were going to use information to make decisions, how long would it take you to make a decision right now? You think, yay, we got all this information. I can Google it. I can go to AI. Do you think it'll take for you to make a decision right now? Can somebody check if my microphone's still okay? Because I've just unplugged myself quickly, waving my arms around. I think we're back on. Yeah, cool. Depends on the decision is what we're getting. But don't you think that there's so much information that whilst you get one answer, you then have to look at it again just to check that the information you're getting off the internet, off the AI is right, where you have to basically sift through the volumes of information available to make sure it's giving you the right answer now. Even with AI, you have to do the same. You can't just rely on what's presented to you because you don't know the source of where this has all come from. Now, imagine putting your divine intelligence in place of AI. And I know some of you haven't had that experience. You might not be able to answer this question, but for those that have been doing this with me, how much quicker are you making decisions based off your quantum testing and divine intelligence compared with having to go and do the research? Yeah. So making decisions based on the information on the internet right now is decision paralysis, I think is the word, under the heart again. And it can lead to conflicting misinformation online. So yeah, so those with body testing or the quantum testing are saying, yeah, they're making quicker decisions and hopefully they're feeling more in alignment and there's less doubt, it's faster. So how come tapping into our higher self is faster than searching the internet? It doesn't make sense, does it? But that is what is accessible to us all if we can tap into our higher self. There is a hidden amount of consciousness that we all have access to that allows us to bring information together in a different way. And until you've experienced it, it can be quite hard to describe. But it's very powerful and it feels enlightened, as in it's much lighter making decisions this way than trying to get to swim through the sea of information and AI that we have now. Yeah, and then somebody else said, not sure about speed, but definitely makes it easier to make decisions. So I think we're getting to a point where we really need to trust our inner guidance and soul wisdom of the higher self more as technology advances. And learning how to stay in our authentic and our original, unique abilities is what's going to be challenging in these technological times. Now, back in, I think it was November time, we saw almost like the brain was opening up a third part of the brain. And I kind of saw it more like the ADHD, autism kind of part, because that part of the brain, I think, allows us to explore multiple dimensions in an easier way. I don't think it's by accident that we have more and more people finding out that they have ADHD or an autistic aspect to their behavior. I think this is the brain expanding and preparing to allow us to access the higher self in an embodied way. And if we then are having a physical change to allow us to tune into the other dimensions, then it kind of tells us that organically we're evolving to access our divine intelligence, to allow us a more profound experience that goes alongside artificial intelligence. And why not? You know, we've evolved arms and legs, we've evolved the way we breathe, we've evolved lots of different aspects of ourselves. So why not the neuro aspect, you know, this neurodivergence? What if it's not just a accident that, again, is part of the divine plan? And I think that these qualities are what makes up our psychic abilities. Because I know when I speak to people with ADHD, I can kind of get the same experiences. I go, yeah, that's kind of what it feels like to talk to my higher self. Now, the problem is that we're now treating ADHD and autism with drugs or even conditioning us to think it's bad. And that's going to block the natural ability for us to connect to our higher self. But it is there and it's opening and it's available to us. So the theme to study really in April is how are we evolving to work with our higher self and how do we ground that into the world? So right now, what percentage of your life do you think is guided by your higher self? 1 to 100. And the interesting thing is, you don't have to know about your higher self to be guiding you. You just might not recognize the voice specifically yet, but it is there. Yeah, that is a bit low, Jenny 33, but something might be shifting. Like I said, we're going through these phases, and I'll talk about the phases in a moment, but we are going through phases of fading in and out of a timeline. And maybe you're just in one of the dips, but 80 and 73%, 73%. Wow, 273%. Excellent. So, like I said, your high self can be guiding and you might not even know it. So it's good just to kind of let that number come to you. So let's look at the Hermit card symbology to help you see how you can allow your higher self to guide you. So the three aspects of the Hermit are the cloak, the staff, and the lantern. The cloak represents the ability or self-mastery of your energetic field, because we know that's one of the reasons we hide away is because of the struggles with other people's energies. But when we master our energetic boundaries, we learn to protect ourselves in such a way that we can remain calm, even when we come back into the chaos of the world. So I call this energy alchemy and holding a vibration. But effectively, what we're doing is we're going from empath, sensitive, introvert into energy alchemist. So for the people that I've been doing this work with me, what percentage do you have mastery over your energetic boundaries right now? So what percentage do you have mastery over your energetic boundaries right now? Because this is key for us to be able to walk the right path. And again, in the 2025 reading for the year, that was becoming a strong beacon of light was something we were going to be learning this year. So I'm not expecting it to be high. I'm expecting us just to be able to work on it this year to get to the point that we do understand how to work with this energetic boundary. 62, 43. Mm-hmm. 59. So that, that's not bad because you guys have been learning this naturally through the work we do. So we can see that we're heading in the right direction. So the staff of the hermit represents their authority and power. This is going from being a victim to being a co-creator of new solutions. By connecting to their higher self, they have found an inner empowerment like never before. Just like I said, when you make decisions with the higher self, it feels easier. The staff is their sovereignty. And this sovereignty isn't just like sovereignty over the world. This is sovereignty over yourself, over your emotions, over your thoughts, and over your decision making. Knowing that what decisions you make, what outcomes you can expect. And also sovereignty over your actions and being responsible for yourself and your life. So the next question would be then, what percentage victim are you? And what percentage co-creator are you? So what percentage victim? And what percentage co-creator? Oh, and Sharon's popped up there. I wondered if you'd gone. So this will kind of show you where your balance is as this perfect hermit. 21 victim, 44 co-creator, 70 victim, 42 co-creator. Now, the only reason we do these numbers is because we're going to use these later to with the instinct of God to start rebalancing all of these. Once you can diagnose, like the instinct of God works really well, and it works even better when you can point it at something. And these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves to help tell our body what we want to fix. Now, oh, there's one more, 13 victim, 62 co-creator. Yay, me, go for it. That sounds fantastic. So the interesting thing is he's got a lantern. So you think, yay, he's going to be able to see the future and be able to see everything. And that's why it's so easy for him to walk his path. But actually the lantern only lights up, say, 3 steps ahead. It doesn't shine all the way into the future. And there's a reason for this. Because depending on how you take those steps, the future is going to change. So what's the point of showing you a future that's going to be constantly evolving and changing as you do? The whole point is you're meant to be growing. And as you grow, the future changes. That's just the way it's meant to be. So the enlightenment comes because you just have the faith to follow the path regardless, that you know who you are and you trust your guidance, that the light of your higher self and the soul wisdom is always with you in the present, and it will reveal the truths and the illusions. So you make the right decisions now to ensure you're going in the right direction. And we spoke last month about how some truths might be poison, but they're the exact medicine we need. It helps us process all of this. The hermit knows that there are blessings in the challenges as well as in the blessings. And they are happy just to take one step and be, and just sense and to be in the moment without knowing if the future is how they want it to be. Because we know that everything will be revealed in the right time. They don't need to see the whole journey. They can focus here and now in the present, making the most out of the moment, just with faith that they'll always end up where they're supposed to end up. Now, how would that feel? Oh, well done, Sharon. 28% victim, 68 co-creator. Yay. I like the way these odds are all shaping up. So how would it feel knowing that just this inner trust and inner ability to walk this path? Relief. It kind of feels like when your higher self is really like you're in tune with your higher self, it kind of feels like you've got a friend along with you for the ride, always guiding you and helping you see where you're meant to go. It's an amazing feeling when the higher self is that strongly connected. Like I said, it's not about meditating and going away and coming back. It's just there. It's like you've instantly got somebody guiding you, giving you, like the quantum testing we use to connect to our higher self, giving us answers without having to go and research them. We do some research, it's always good to have some validation, but we've always got this extra, something extra guiding us. Putting my hands around my microphone. Okay, hopefully that's still sounding okay. So this is the hermit path, and this is what we're trying to master right now. So if you guys want more information, then just look up the hermit card in tarot and you'll start getting a feeling for what you can do in your life to change it. So that's the theme of this month that we've been working on. The outlook is a change in direction. And the visuals I was shown is a baby being born under the guidance of cherubs. So it talks about having the willingness to open up your heart to love and open up your heart to your higher self so that you can connect more with your higher self and know that you are protected now and in the future. So follow your path. So you can kind of see how that outlook aligns with the methodology of the hermit. Now, the preparation that we've had to help us connect more to this higher self has been shown to us as two frequencies. It was gold and lilac. And the gold was to do with clarity and understanding, that you can connect to your higher self will bring abundance your way. And the lilac was more connected to faith. So it was about having trust and faith in the process. So these two frequencies were perhaps something you can tune into now and just imagine inviting those colors, gold and lilac, into your body. We'll use them a bit later in the visualization that I've got, but just imagine those frequencies. So one is clarity of your path and allowing you to make the right decisions and therefore forge your future the way you want to forge it. Or lilac, where is the faith and the trust that your higher self knows where it's taking you. So the feeling of the hermit is whole. Yeah, somebody's been using the lilac a lot in my membership. Yeah, we've been working with the lilac quite a bit. In fact, my hair kind of went lilac for a few days by accident. So these, when we talk about colors, then they are kind of like consciousness that we can draw in just by inviting the colors into our body. So allow the lilac to run through your body and imagine it recalibrating all of your cells towards trust, and invite in the gold and imagine that recalibrating all of your cells to clarity of what you're here to do and who you're meant to be. And then just let me know when you feel like you've got that feeling in, make it stronger and stronger. And again, using that instinct of God, just allow your body to be that hermit state, understanding when to withdraw, when to come out, when to take action, and only seeing a couple of steps and feeling comfortable anyway. Take a few deep breaths into that feeling. Now, so let me grab some water. Now, the theme carries on through the challenge and the strengths as well. So the challenge was about cessation of action. This is the rest for success. We've been taught that we need to be busy all the time doing something in order to get where we want to go. And that's going to be a challenge for us to be told, no, take a step back and just rest. Just allow your higher self to come in and just rest. It's kind of like saying, like, you have to take time out to upgrade. And if you keep being busy, you're never going to upgrade. It's that kind of energy. So this is not about giving up on your goals, but it's about giving up on the fear, the worry, the anxiety that's been driving you up till now. Because right now, whatever you're trying to do by pushing forward, what future are you pushing towards? We're in the middle of a metamorphosis. What future are you aiming for? It's on shifting sands. We need this new to stabilize before we can see what the future still is, you know? So anything you're doing but pushing forward right now, you could be going in completely the wrong direction. We've kind of had this come up before. It's like we're in a fog. We need us and our integration to solidify before we can then start looking at the future. And you may already start seeing flashes of this future coming through now. And then you'll see it vanish, like you'll jump towards it and then it vanishes from under your feet. And you think you've done something wrong. It's just that you jumped too soon. We're in the phase of resting and integrating before we take these leaps. Because you think about it, the last few years, we've been really invited to strengthen our infrastructure. That's what these last few years have all been about. So now it's saying to us, stop trying to fix things, stop trying to understand everything, stop doing more, and let go of what you think the past has meant or the future will be. Let go of the thoughts and just find the way to rest into this river of divine flow. And that's where you'll find success. That trusting that everything will happen exactly as it should when it should. So can you give up on your worries and anxious speculation? Yes, no. Getting some yeses there, which is cool. Do you feel like you know how to work quietly this way from within? So this is kind of like you're still working, but you're doing invisible work as opposed to like rushing around like a fool on the outside. You're kind of doing that withdrawal to the higher self to connect to get a better idea of who you're becoming so you can better get idea of what the future should be, or at least what the next few steps should be, not the whole future. Yeah. So let's just do another little energy activation. Well, Jenny said she got no and thought it would be yes. So let's do the energy activation first and then see what you get. Because for you, Jenny, you've got to remember, you're in a major transformation on top of the metamorphosis. So you've got a lot going on. It doesn't mean that your no's are not as you're expecting them. It's just that you're going through a phase of the lightning path of healing, which means you're going to go through a lot more upheaval in that process than just simply having your path, a normal path. So pregnancy kind of creates this fast track healing. And this really is causing a fast track for Jenny. So don't forget that means you're on a different cycle, if that makes sense. Yeah, definitely fast track, I know. So I want you just to kind of tune into your body, and we're going to go into the heart. And I want you to imagine all your fears are kind of like balloons tied to your heart. Your anxieties, your fears, those past and future thoughts that are bothering you, see them all tied to your heart. Now, I know they're balloons, but maybe they're more like lead balloons and they're all kind of pulling your heart down. Knowing that we're attuned to the instinct of God, we know that this frequency is not light. Then we can imagine cutting all the balloons and letting them dissolve and disappear out of our heart center. And as they dissolve, allow your body to let go of any energy that was stuck anywhere in your body. And just feel this cleansing, lightening the whole heart area. You could even imagine it as a mist being cleared. And as the mist kind of lifts away from the density of these anxieties, fears, and burdens, I want you to imagine that the version of you, which is your higher self, is standing in the middle of your heart. Now, it's not going to be the true higher self because that needs some extra integration, but just something that represents your higher self, a symbol until you fully integrate it. Now, whatever burden you have right now that's bothering you, I want you to imagine laying it down at the feet of the higher self. And as you lay it down at the feet of your higher self, you disengage from it. You disengage from the struggle of it. Because you know you are letting your higher self do the heavy lifting for you. Your only task now is to listen and to wait for the answers. And to discern which answers will lead you to the easy path. You don't have to take any action. You don't have to burn yourself out. You're going to just wait and rest until you receive the right answer, and then you'll know what action to take. Surrendering rather than forcing things forward. Keep putting your burdens down at the feet of your higher self. And this is the harmonious, balanced way, the way of the hermit. Allow the higher self to withdraw with the burdens, to go and think about it, and then come back with the answer, and just allow yourself to listen and to receive the answer when it comes. Now, it's important that you don't try and go and do stuff and undo what we've just done. So I want you to really imagine yourself just resting, kind of laying on a sun lounger or in a bath of bubbles, whichever way you chill out. And it's almost like the higher self is your internal chat GPT doing all the algorithms and the calculations for you to bring you back an answer. But for it to do that, it needs you to be rested and not stressed. How does that feel? Good. Calming. So this is a little practice that you can just add to your everyday rituals, yeah? Just visualizing this is a great way to get into hermit mode and to allow you to hand over your problems to your higher self and then wait for the answers. Because if you think about it, we don't make time, like I said in the beginning, to sleep, let alone do work like this to connect. And Sundays used to be a day of rest and spiritual contemplation, even if you're not religious, just still a day that was, you couldn't go shopping, you couldn't be busy. It was almost like that was taken away to encourage us to contemplate, to sit back, to relax, to take a break emotionally, physically, psychologically, sitting still. And that's all we've just done now for a few minutes. And that's all we have to do is to say, maybe every Sunday you sit down and you do that little exercise and allow that to show you the new timeline that's emerging for you as a butterfly. And to show you the way for you to redefine how you achieve success in a simple rest for success kind of way. Yeah, so ease, feeling of ease and lightness as well. So, like as I say, it doesn't have to be hard work. That simple little exercise is enough to focus your brain, focus your higher self on a problem, and then wait. In the old days, we used to say, if you lost something in the house, it was kind of the same concept. Rather than going around the house, pulling everything apart, looking for it, you would just ask for it to be found. You'd kind of say, okay, I've lost this. Can you please help me find it? And then you'd get on with your day doing other things. And then suddenly into your head would pop the place where it was at, or some sort of connection to where it was. And then you'd go and look there and it would be there. So does that kind of give you the feeling that we're talking about? And that's always worked for me, that, but you can play with that if you lose something in the house. So you just ask for it to be shown. But, I didn't have to hunt the whole house for it. It was brought to my attention at the right time, and I found it when I needed it. So that's us surrendering our burdens to our higher self. So the strength then is the law of efficiency. Again, part of the 2025 reading, working smarter, not harder. And the message that came with this is it is time for your life to become easier. And this is the whole 2025 theme. It's time for your life to become easier. So when I asked White Star, my higher self, what this meant, I don't feel it like I don't feel it like it's telling us we need to simplify our life as such. Instead, I feel it as a state that the world is now in that will support us if we choose to take a simpler life path. It's effectively we're emerging from a spiritual winter, because we don't think of spirituality as going through evolution and changes, but it has been, and we have been in a spiritual winter, and we're coming out of that now. It's what we talked about, the Kali Yuga, closing the age of darkness, so we come into the light. That spiritual winter has meant that our spiritual concepts have been broken down, and they were broken down so that we could put them back together in new ways, just like everything in our life. Even on a spiritual plane, techniques, modalities have all been breaking down too. So the divine has natural flow cycles too. And that's what I was saying with Jenny. You know, she's going through an accelerated path, which will have much quicker cycles than perhaps normal people would due to the pregnancy. So the universe, what my star showed me again is the universe is ready to serve you, to support your soul-aligned dreams, and to carry you. And this higher self-integration is part of that universal energetic preparation for you to do this. So your job in all of this is to allow yourself to connect to your higher self, like we've just done, and to be aware that there are ebbs and flows spiritually, and to work with those ebbs and flows rather than fighting them. And that because we only ever see a few steps ahead lit up with a lantern, knowing that what you think your dreams are and what they actually could be quite different. It could be much bigger, much grander, and much more soul fulfilling. So just be prepared to focus on how you want to feel rather than the thing, and you'll find your dreams will come true, just in more unusual ways. So being ready to stop forcing your life is about breaking away from your old imposter version of you, where you were pushing against the plan, and instead allow the universe to show you a different way. Because all the forcing you've been doing has been great. You must have felt really strong and like, yes, I've achieved all of these things despite the adversity. If you want to keep on that path, then great. You know, it's there. You can carry on doing that if you wish. Otherwise, just start allowing yourself to think, well, let's see if I can do this in a different way, where I don't burn out. So thinking again, how can we make our lives more efficient? Now, we've already let our burdens with our higher self. And we're not talking about efficiency in terms of what society and work means, but we're looking at using less of our internal energy and less of our forcing, fighting, fear, anger energy, and focusing more on doing things that light us up rather than drain us, and knowing we don't have to work everything out or have it all written down and understood before we take action, that we can just go off a high level feeling of what we're here to do, taking one step and exploring and letting it unfold in front of us. Because this isn't just about doing, we have to be in the right room, whether it's live or virtually, with the right people. And your higher self knows how to guide you there. And when I was kind of tuning into this earlier, White Star was kind of showing me a pub crawl, kind of like you go into a pub, you don't like the vibe, you have one drink, you leave. And then you move to the next pub and you see what's there. It's that kind of quick moving, pivoting kind of energy. So it's not about chasing and trying to convince people or convince partners or whatever of what you want. It's about surrendering more to who you are so you can become magnetic enough to attract to you what is meant for you. And this is spiritual maturity. And it all boils down to your inner vibration. So do you feel like your inner vibration is one of harmony? Are you ready to let your higher self step up at the right time and allow you to shine your boldness on the world? Sometimes. So I got thinking of energy management, saying goodbye to the things that drain us and embracing more joyful tasks. Yeah, definitely. So this is the rest for success and it all being effortlessly coming together. And like I said, the instinct of God is a great way to do some of the healing that we need to go with this. We can just intend it. So now we've diagnosed that we're not in harmony necessarily, that we are a bit more victim than we are co-creator, that we are more introverted and empathic and withdrawn than taking action. We all get a feeling of where we are, yeah? So now let's intend that we bring all of this into balance. Let's intend that we can bring those energies together and tip the scale into harmony, so that we have that feeling of perfect time to rest, perfect time for action, perfect time to contemplate, perfect time to turn into decisions into reality. Okay, can you get the feeling of what that would feel like? And as part of that, I want you again now to tune into your bodies and start almost telling yourself there is a more joyful, easier path to success. Now, is your body responding well to that, or is it kind of going, you're lying to me? So take a few deep breaths, go into your heart, and I want you to imagine the whole world is slowing down. Sense your mind thoughts, your emotions, all slowing down. So now that we've cut the fear away from around the heart, notice your inner desires and your inner light around the heart space. Are they sparkling and glimmering? Do you want to give them a polish? Maybe as you're there, writing a list of things that you desire, the way you want to feel, the way you want this easy, joyful life to unfold for you, all through the feelings that you want to feel. Maybe you can hear your mind telling you, this is not the way to do life. And as you listen to the mind, you see this pathway unfolding in front of you. And on this pathway, you see yourself doing, running around, being busy. And as you go further down the pathway, you see yourself getting burnt out, losing your vitality, looking tired. And you ask your mind, is this really what it wants to experience? Ask your mind if it's willing to consider a different way of being. And you're almost coaching your mind now into a rest state. You're asking it to soothe and to become more peaceful as you tell it that it doesn't have to be that way. And you love your mind for what it does, but it actually doesn't have to have everything worked out all the time. Now, the mind might feel a bit threatened by this because it thinks that's its job, is always working out, knowing what to do next. And we now introduce the mind to the higher self and say, hey, look, I've got a friend for you, somebody who can help you so that you can have a more peaceful way of making decisions and working things out. But the mind needs to release some things first in order for this to work. So we ask the mind, is it willing to release any attachments it has to what it thinks are necessary for your survival? And these might be thoughts, viewpoints, the people in your life, the things in your life, what's happening in the world, or any misguided interpretations your mind has made of what is happening to you or how you ought to behave. It's kind of like giving your mind a spa day. We're asking your mind to let all this go, to soften and relax. And even though this is normally the logical part of the brain that's more active this way, even the creative part can be involved. So we're asking both sides of the brain to come into this peaceful, allowing state. Now, for your mind to talk to your higher self, it needs to open up its multidimensional awareness. So the part of the brain that people are calling ADHD or autism, it's only a small part. We're just going to open it up so that it can now communicate with the higher self and have a different viewpoint of what's going on in the world right now. This is the third part of the brain I speak about. And as this part opens up, this connection to your higher self, and your mind and your higher self start merging, and they keep sharing ideas and talking about things, you kind of feel like, again, you can relax as they have a chat. Maybe the higher self has already worked out some solutions to the burdens that we laid down earlier, and just allow it to communicate. And you sink into the feeling of love and trust. Love of how fabulous our organic minds are, love of the higher self, love of the mysteries of how our bodies work with higher consciousness. As you're sitting there enjoying this conversation between your mind and the higher self, imagine you're in a beautiful garden. And whatever you have in your garden, where there's statues, ornaments, flowers, trees, art, fill it with all the things that make you feel beauty and harmony. And you can imagine your brain and your higher self are there. Maybe they're characters or animals kind of walking around this garden with you. And you just notice that there's a golden glow to this garden and a lilac flecks dancing around in the light. And you see yourself planting seeds at the right time. You're choosing which seeds to plant now, which to plant later. One patch of the garden that looks a bit dead, you see all the seeds you were planting when you were busy, when you were self-sabotaging, when you were planting your seeds in the spiritual winter. All the times you were trying to work against the universe and against your soul's wisdom and higher self. And you look at the plants that are growing there compared with the plants you're planting now, and you can see the difference. You can sense the frequency, the vitality of working in flow with the divine plan. So that part of the garden that was created out of self-sabotage and forcing and overthinking, imagine that now as being dug over, nurtured with this lilac and golden energy. So you've got a new bit of garden to plant in. Letting this old paradigm dissolve. Bringing your whole garden into harmony. And as you enjoy this feeling of harmony in your garden and this flow state and the mind and the higher self working together, know that the universe needs to feel this too. You can kind of get a sense of the universe looking down on you, and almost like your harmony is feeding the universe. The energies floating up from your garden and dispersing through the universe itself. And you continue nurturing your garden, enjoying that peaceful feeling. And then you notice it starts to rain, these gold and lilac drops of liquid energy. The universe has taken the harmony you've created, it's amplified it, and now it's returning it to you. See how every effort you were making in this garden is now being matched by the universe. And this is all because you've allowed yourself to be guided by your higher self. You jump with joy and glee because now you realize you only have to work half as hard. Isn't this turning into the most perfect day? A real vacation from the worry, from the past, present, and future. Really sink into the feeling of this beautiful garden. The lilac are bringing you the faith that all is well, amplifying your faith in the divine plan. The gold is bringing you more clarity and clearing the path to your wisdom, allowing your decision-making to be easier, which allows abundance, which is the gold, to find you. Be present with curiosity, wonder, and seek the magic of this garden. Breathe it in, dance in it, sing with it. Immerse yourself fully in this feeling. And feel the divine plan like a big warm blanket wrapping around you. Now imagine where in your life that you have been banging your head against a wall and getting nowhere. What jumps to mind? Are you ready to stop and connect to your higher self for a simpler path? Imagine that problem now in your garden being nurtured by the gold and the lilac and being transformed and transmuted into a simpler pathway, one of harmony. I want you to bring that feeling now of the garden and bring it down into your body. So we're in the heart, just let it kind of travel out through every cell of your body. And we ask the instinct of God to bring your cells into alignment with this feeling you've just created, with this frequency, so that you become a living, walking version of this frequency on the planet. Bring that feeling down. Your arms, your legs, you might want to physically move in the present. I like to twist and feel the energy running up my spine. And as this energy comes into your body and you bring your awareness back to where you're sitting today with me, know that your experience in the outer world will change to reflect this new frequency that you've just cultivated. How does that feel? Bring your awareness back to where you're sitting. 3, 2, feeling that energy buzzing through your body. 1, eyes open, back where we started. So I hope that gives you the feeling of the challenge and the strength this month. And Sony said it did feel like a spa day. Yay. Amazing, soothing, and powerful. Nice. And again, if you did these two things together every Sunday, it would just be that kind of moment of resting for success. While other people are typing. So we've got a few more bits of advice, but I can't go into depth with these, so I'll just finish these quite quickly. So the advice this month was the table. And for me, it was like a very strong structure with ornate legs. And I feel that it represented the beauty that is laying ahead of us, and that it's going to be hard work for us to stay in that unique, beautiful, harmonious path. And we just need a good structure to be able to do it. And hopefully we've already talked about the structure that we need based on the challenge and the strength that we've just spoken about. So the whole time I was dancing in the garden, planting seeds, and in the end I found a fountain of gold. Perfect. Well, last month we spoke about the Prince of Rainbows, and that when we tap into our talents, we get compensated. So that would be the gold. So well done. So the advice is we do have hard work, but we're going to do it in resting for success, making the right decisions to change our direction in our life, and also working smarter, not harder. And the thing is, we've been on our own for so long, we need to connect as a community and with our higher self now to help guide us, rather than trying to keep forcing ourselves down the path that hasn't worked for us so far. No logic, no amount of data off the internet has helped. So let's try something different. Now, the next steps could be a whole session in its own right. So it's going to be just a brief introduction, because next time we're going to be doing Scorpio transformation anyway. And I think it feeds into that. So the next steps was that we're going to start getting some spiritual inheritance coming through. And we spoke last month about receiving, honoring our unique gifts and learning how to use them in a unique way to get compensated for it. So again, if you copy, you're not going to be able to tap into your unique gifts, which means you're basically fighting to get breadcrumbs instead of really tapping into the pot of gold that's waiting for you. So our new talents are coming through, but you need to heal the fear and the anxiety about whatever went wrong when you used them last time. So you need to do some active healing on any past fears or past lives or times where your talents were used and either you were manipulated or something bad happened. And when you do, then these talents will become gifts for you now, for you to use to help make your life more effortless and to align you with your abundance. So we've noticed that with my one-to-one clients, we're not only doing self-healing these days, but we're also doing clearing and upgrades that are impacting the earth grids and updating the rules of engagement on earth, which means that people are sending out frequencies to help us all become more liberated and claim back our power. So we don't have to study healing modalities to do this when you're tapped into your unique talent. You just need to have somebody help you, free you of your fear of it, and then start practice using it. So it's kind of like this past life activation gift is a gift. So if you don't want to receive it, it'll go away as quickly as it'll appear. And it might not make any sense when you receive it, but you really do have to honor it and feel into it and use it. So like I said, this is a whole conversation that we've done a whole workshop on this. But the thing is, once you've sent out the energy into the earth grids, that signature lays the foundation, not just for us as individuals in our healing, but also for the world. It helps build up the reason why the universe is there to help us, basically. It's we're feeding it, empowering that up too. So this is a really powerful way to work without being a healer, where we just do our own self-healing, we send the energy into the earth, and we support others healing that way. So I mentioned earlier that I've been a bit tired the last few days because my higher self, White Star, has been showing me another frequency that I've been bringing in. And it was a golden energy that was going around the planet. And I think it was aimed to, it wasn't even dissolving the fear or dissolving war. It was the kind of energy, if you had two children that were fighting and mum came in and just said, stop it, and the kids would just stop it, this golden energy seemed to have that effect. It was a kind of empowerment, but it wasn't done out of fear. It was more of a, enough is enough now. Come on, you all know this isn't the right way to do this. So come on, pull yourselves up and start behaving like adults effectively. And that was the energy that came through. But I did notice that with that came a lot of headaches and sleepless nights. So just be aware that when we do bring these talents in, there might be some physical kind of implications, which again feeds back into rest for success, because you need to allow your body to integrate these new energies that are coming in as talents. And as I said, women are going to feel this a bit more because of the way our DNA works. So yeah, I think we're all going to be having new skills. And I'm not even talking about clairvoyance and claircognizance type skills. These are all quite unique and very interesting to watch unfold as they come. So that's quite exciting to see. So do let me know in the comments if you ever get anything like that so that we can share them, because it's good to see that we're all tapping into some new energies. And then the final part of the next steps was that we are now integrating our higher self, our soul light, which is the higher self is almost like the CEO of our spiritual realm. The soul light is the kind of intelligence, the divine intelligence that we have access to. And we're integrating those two to work together, but we're also bringing them down into the intelligence of the body and the DNA so that we can become more balanced in our decision making. So that work is still going on. And it's a kind of male-female balancing, which is why I said earlier that we're probably going to have some significant male or female relationships kind of triggering us so that we can then work on healing that kind of imbalance between male and female. So that was the next steps. And by the way, when I say male and female, I'm not talking about Heris Gammas here. It was a different type of energy. It was more to do with the higher self and the soul light. It was like a soul tantric kind of combination, or a soul female male energy integration. So that's the energies. So we've got the theme, Hermit. The preparation was the lilac and the gold, energies for faith and clarity. The outlook is a change of direction and being prepared for that. The challenge was the rest for success and letting go of your fears and handing them over, your burdens, to your higher self. The strength was our ability to tap into working smarter, not harder, really get into alignment with the flow of life. The advice was there's hard work ahead. And the hard work, I feel, is being authentically you and not being tugged off into being something you're not. And then the next steps was you have new past life talents coming back, and we need to integrate more the higher self, soul light, and body as a piece of energetic work that we need to do. So somebody's saying they've been having cake to celebrate their new energies. Yay! So your mantra is to help you align with these better decision making that will allow you to face the transhumanism AI kind of battle that is going on right now, is that we want to be able to balance the needs of self with the needs of other without losing self. So balance the needs of self without, balance the needs of self with the needs of others without losing self. Because we're moving into I am because we are energy. And I come in peace, I walk in beauty, and I choose the easy, higher self guided middle path, just like the hermit. So how do you all feel now? These energies are so big. I haven't even covered it takes us 4 workshops to cover some of this. So this is just the highlights. But if anybody listening wants to embrace more of this work and our quantum human abilities, then there are 2 ways we can work together. I have this Quantum Human Portal membership. It's a subscription base where we do one big workshop on a superstructure that we need to learn each month. And then I give you the toolkits that you need around that. And that's a 3-hour online workshop on the weekend. And it's subscription, so you can cancel if you don't like it. And preferably, I hope you'll enjoy it and you'll keep with us, because each year or each month, the energy changes and we step into a more powerful version of what we've been studying. And it's all to do with that personality and soul exploration and the higher self, and our high achiever abilities and personality battles and balancing ourselves so that we can become more in flow with the divine state of rest for success. So if you want to do it more quickly, then I have a 6-month package. I tend to work in 6 months where we go through and we liberate you from all of your fears and your old thoughts so that we can awaken you to what your purpose and potential. So really tapping into what abilities you have that you might never have experienced before and your unique frequency so that you can really feel into what you're here to do for the planet on a galactic level. So you can email me at whitestarsoulguidance@gmail.com, although my emails are going to be changing soon, but that one's still active at the moment. And we can set up an assessment where we can look to see how we can reimagine your future based on this kind of conversation that we've had today. So the next session will be the 19th of May. And that's going to be Scorpio season. So for the work we do, we follow the full moon. So it'll be Scorpio transformation, letting go of old, outdated pain so that we can soar higher. So please do share this with other people and hit the notification and like, and just help me share this with more people. So has anybody got any comments before I sign off for tonight? So hopefully you all kind of feel a bit more energized from those kind of mini visualizations that we just did. So I'm going to join my people on Zoom now just to have more of a Q&A after this. But thank you all for joining me. And I hope that we can all tap into the middle path and start making decisions that the future generations are going to really love to see. And for us to really find our power that's coming through in this gold energy that I'm seeing and be able to apply it to make real changes, even if it's just small in our family or our community. And sometimes we might even find that we can ripple it through to larger areas of the world. We can all do this if we choose. And as I said, every decision you make now, just consider what pathway it's aligning you with, the old self, caterpillar, or the new butterfly path. Because the world needs your light, your passion, and your unique gifts. So go forth, quantum humans, and create heaven on earth, the one that we are all so desperate to live and experience right now, knowing that the universe is here to support you. Because when you're successfully using your talents in service of the world, it helps the universe to help the world. And every living thing benefits. So thank you all for joining me. And I'll say good night now. Bye. Take me